Yeah, you are tuned in to the Andrew Gosser Show. We are moving and grooving on this Thursday morning, the 29th of January, 2026. And we are streaming on Rumble. And we are streaming on X. And we are streaming on YouTube. We are streaming at WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch that is WYAB, hit us up on the stream. We appreciate it. If you haven't yet, please give me a follow at Andrew Gosser on X. X is an incredible source of news. Of course, you've got to do your own due diligence and fact check stuff, but it's definitely the place to go to get real news. Give me a follow there. Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. And the phone number today, if you want to be on the show, 601 879 0002. And the text line is open at 601 879 5060. The mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? You are the saints. I did get two really spicy messages yesterday asking me why I always quote scripture. And like Brother James Haygood said, biblical worldview. That's all it is. You can take it or leave it, but it kind of forms the thought process of where I'm going to take the show today, and it's just where it leads to because ultimately our society is descending into chaos. Some people would call it hell. I would say that both descriptions are accurate, but there is things that are coming up, and it's just nothing is new under the sun. This has all happened before throughout history. We can go back throughout history and see that things like this have happened. Not with the same technology. Obviously, there will be some new things that are different, but this whole rigmarole of pedophilia rings in government, that's happened before. Just look at Rome. He's sitting there with the insurgents. That's all happened before. Just look at Nazi Germany. And so, and just certain scriptures really hit me. So please indulge me and see if these two scriptures aren't relevant. In those days, there was no king in Israel or the United States. I added that. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. And isn't that what the insurgents are doing right now in Minnesota? They're doing what is right in their own eyes. But this one here, I know this is gonna fire off this one dude because he's an atheist and he's always trying to sit there and do that. So I picked this one just for him. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. And is that not what humanity's trying to do right now? We're trying to lean on our own understanding. We're trying to forget about what got us here to the first place, lean on our own understanding. And with that, I got a couple news notes. As Mr. Hettinger used to say, number one, tomorrow is Founding Father Friday. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a good one, ladies and gentlemen. You know him, you love him. I'm sure that all of you can give me at least a 15-minute dissertation on this founding father. I'm serious. He's a good one. And also, Monday in the 10 o'clock hour, we're going to have Senator Don Hartness from Jones County for the full hour talking all sorts of things that are going on inside the Mississippi State Senate. I love WYAB. We get all the best opportunities here to bring on local policymakers, lawmakers, people who are impactful in the community, and get a chance for them to get their side of the story out of what's going on. And also, the text line will be open. If you got questions for the senator, we'll take them and we'll route them on up. That's how we work right here. But I need to talk to you guys about what's happening in Minnesota and also the big swerve that I feel happened that got past us and we didn't even recognize it. But to start this off, we've got to talk about our United States Army and the Green Berets. Sometimes they are known as Army Special Forces, but they're known as the quiet professionals. These guys are very different from your other special forces operations. Like each one has a specific speciality. that something that they're really known well for. Delta is capturing targets and going in, getting the target, bringing them back. SEALs are known more for uh, at sea operations, although they can do CQB, close quarter combat, close quarter battle. But the ODA teams, the Operational Detachment Alpha, as they're sometimes called, do the stuff that Delta and SEALs really don't have the same type of training. Green Berets specialize in insurgencies and counterinsurgencies, and that they understand counter narcotics and humanitarian operations in a way that conventional forces or even special forces don't even know about. Now, this training for the Green Berets, it's long and arduous. It's at Fort Bragg there in North Carolina, and it starts off with assessment and selection. And this is a gut check. I won't call it buds. I won't call it uh, what the Delta people go through, or Air Force Special Operations, PJs, combat controllers, etc. But it's a gut check, and once you get through that gut check, then that's when you start going through the Q course or the qualifications course, and this is over a year long, ladies and gentlemen. It includes medical training, their specialities, so whether they're comms guys, medic, breacher, whatever it is that they go through that, and then they go through language immersion, so they go in and they learn the language that they're gonna go out there and do. These guys are highly specialized in going ahead and either putting down an insurgency, a counterinsurgency inside places like Afghanistan, or setting up insurgencies. So these guys really know what they're talking about and what they're doing. So the reason I tell you this is because I'm going to read a post almost verbatim from a guy named Eric Schwalm, and it's just at Schwalm 5132. And I will right now, before I get done reading this, I will heart it and repost it to my timeline, because when I'm very careful not to talk about military things uh, in a sense of explicit detail, especially when that's not my specialty. I mean, I can go talk wax poetic on aerial refuelings, setting up missions, strike follow on, CSAR. I can go through all that. But if it's not something that I have in depth knowledge of, I try to either go to the source, quote it verbatim, or even better yet, not talk about it because it's not my lane. And there are all sorts of places, by the way, that you can go find out about the Green Berets. There's a really good YouTube channel called Green Beret Chronicles. I like that guy. I feel he does just enough to keep it real, but isn't on the Hollywood side either. But I want to listen to this and then give kind of my own thoughts on this. As a former Special Forces warrant officer with multiple rotations running counterinsurgency ops, both hunting insurgents and trying to separate them from the sympathetic populations, I've seen organized resistance up close, from Anbar province to Helmand, and the pattern is familiar. Spotters, cutouts, dead drops, or modern equivalents, disciplined comms, role specialization, and a willingness to absorb casualties while bleeding the stronger force slowly. Now, this guy's a warrant officer, and I know that the Army does take people straight in as a warrant, but that's normally their helicopter pilots. Top, I know you're out there. Do special forces actually come in as warrants, or are they all enlisted or officer, and then they kinda go on their separate ways, kinda like Delta and kind of like the SEALs do? I'm curious with that. But when I see a warrant officer, especially coming from my Navy background, they are normally senior enlisted who then go to a warrant, which really gives them specialized training just in their class. They're not like a line officer or even a limited duty officer. They are just specific to what they're doing. So with the helo pilots, they're just a warrant officer. All they do is fly. They'll never go on to command. They'll never go on to do other stuff. This guy was a Special Forces warrant officer, a Green Beret warrant officer. So that tells me he's got years of experience and he knows what the heck he's talking about. What is unfolding in Minneapolis right now isn't a protest. It is a low-level insurgency built by people who've clearly studied the playbook. And I would agree with that statement. You know, I've read AFDD 1 on here and kind of pointed out how people can go and access that and then start building their game plans. Signal groups of 1,000-member cap per zone, dedicated roles, mobile chasers, plate checkers, logging vehicle data into a shared database, 24/7 dispatch nodes, vectoring assets, salute-style reporting. And salute is an acronym used by the military. It stands for size, activity, location, unit, time, and equipment. I mean, they're actually using US tactics that we've developed to fight the Taliban, Hamas, Hezbollah, Al Qaeda. I mean, these people in Minneapolis and dare I say all around the United States are doing this. On suspected federal vehicles, daily chat rotations and time deletions to frustrate forensic recovery, vetting processes for new joiners. You know, those signal chats have been infiltrated by both federal law enforcement and by journalists, but, you know, they have process for trying to weed them out too. I can remember going to briefings in the Air Force. We'd always start off the briefing before we started to say anything. Everybody look to the left of you, everybody look to the right of you, make sure they're supposed to be here. Not only do they have the clearance, but they have the need to know, and that is something that is going off there. Mutual aid from sympathetic locals, teachers providing cover, possible police department tip-offs on license plate lookups, home-based coordination points, rapid escalation from observation to physical obstruction or worse. And we can see that that pretty guy, he wasn't just a peaceful observer trying to do that. If you know, unfortunately, the lie has already gone around the world 100,000 times of what a great guy this guy was, but he really wasn't. He spit on police officers, he kicked out a brake light, and it was all right there, put out there by the media, of course, after they've already told their lie and incited violence in the local public at large. This isn't spontaneous outrage. This is C2, command and control with redundancy, OPSEC hygiene, which is operational security. And hygiene means that they're running a tight ship. You know, the military be proud with some of the stuff that these guys are doing. And task organization that would make a SF team sergeant nod in recognition. Replace ICE agents with occupying coalition forces and the structure maps almost one to one to early stage urban cells we hunted in the mid 2000s. Do you see where I'm going with this? Everything that we did in the global war on terror to try to keep this from coming over here via Islamic terrorism was all homegrown by China and Russia. They infiltrated our schools. They corrupted our youth. They got rid of God. We're doing everything what was right in our own eyes. We started leaning on our own understanding and gotten rid of what got us here in the first place. The most sobering part, it's domestic, funded, trained somewhere, and directed by people who live in the same country they're trying to paralyze law enforcement in. When your own citizens build and operate this level of parallel intelligence and rapid response network against federal officers, complete with doxing, vehicle pursuits, and harassment that's already turned lethal, you are no longer dealing with civil disobedience. You're dealing with facing a distributed resistance that has learned the lessons of successful insurgencies. This is really critical. You know, they are riding the lightning on this, and they are riding it perfectly. It's like a surfer surfing a big wave. You gotta be right in that sweet spot. Listen, and this is the key part, staying below the kinetic threshold most of the time, force overreaction when possible, maintain popular support through narrative, and never present a single center of gravity. Think about this, they've got the mainstream media, the legacy media, the cable media, they've even got limp-wristed Republicans in the Senate trying to get rid of the ICE funding or the DHS funding. They've got nurses on TikTok telling people how to go ahead and poison ICE officers, you know, and they're fooling around and finding out they're getting fired, but again, they don't care. They're willing to, quote, unquote, "die for the cause." They'll get fired. They'll have a GoFundMe, raise a couple $100,000 and move on. George Soros has got billions. You know, we sit here dithering about what's happening with DHS, and these congressmen and senators can't even defund the Taliban. They can't even defund the NGOs that we're putting ourselves up against each other. Why? Because some of them could be on the take as well, and they don't wanna have it exposed. Look, there's more to this, and I'm gonna read about it, but I've gotta take my first commercial break. You are listening to The Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
Guaranteed to prevent algae from coming back for at least 2 years. No harsh chemicals, no damage, no black streaks. Just a clean, beautiful roof that lasts. Call Watkins Construction and Roofing at 601-966-8233 or visit nomoreroofstains.com today.
Hi, this is Lee Atkins of Home Care Plus in Ridgeland. We are a proud carrier of Abena Premium Incontinence products. Abena has the most absorbency available, making changes and leaks less likely. After 7 years as a seller, I can tell you these products are amazing and worth every penny to quality of life for patient and caregiver. And we ship all incontinence products as well. So please come see us at Home Care Plus in Ridgeland for all the incontinence needs of you or your family member. That's Home Care Plus in Ridgeland.
You can show your pride and patriotism in honor of the 250th birthday of this great nation by proudly flying a flag. And a complete flag source on I-55 in Jackson is the place to find it. All sizes for all purposes. And they have the official 250-year celebration flag. Have a look at CompleteFlags.com. That's CompleteFlags.com.
Weekdays 10 to noon in Jacksontown. On WYAB, it's the hottest show around.
Andrew Gosser Show. Hey Jackson,
Turn it up.
let your message go.
They're tuned in, you know. Put your business in the spotlight on the Andrew Gosser Show.
Advertise with Andrew. Email info@wyab.com.
After 28 years, we are closing our brick and mortar location in Canton come November 2025. But fear not, smalltownmusic.com will remain alive and well, and you will still be able to text or call 601-859-8596. Small Town Music, come on and get it. 859-8596. Call before you're home. We will have a booth on Canton Square at the Emporium, and you can still browse our guitars and support our original music at www.smalltownmusic.com.
Hey, this is Travis with Rapid Oil Change, the leader in fast service and fleet account maintenance for over 40 years, providing routine maintenance for most makes and models, keeping downtime to a minimum. We accept most local and national fleet accounts. Can't see at night? Headlights faded? Check out our newest service, the Bright Line Headlight Restore Kit by Mighty Automotive, available now. Keep your vehicle ready for the road ahead and drive hard with Casserole Edge. Open 6 days a week with 6 locations to serve. Visit us online for specials at oilchangems.com.
This is Doug with Magnolia Safety Group. Imagine a workplace where every employee feels safe and empowered. At Magnolia Safety Group, we make that vision a reality. From OSHA compliance to customized training, hazard assessments, and safety audits. We deliver tailored solutions that protect your people and boost productivity. Don't just meet safety standards, exceed them. Partner with Magnolia Safety Group and build a safer future one workplace at a time. Call us today to get started or check out our website at magnoliasafetygroup.com.
Yeah, Andrew Gosser is back here on 103.9 WYAB. All sorts of stuff kicking off, whether it be the X chat or the Rumble chat. I'm really grateful for it. And, people had some really pointed comments about the last hour. And look, that's a great thing about WYAB. We all have our different takes on things. Mike is definitely more of the anti-ice flavor. I'm supportive of ice, but I'm also not just blindly following either. We can't just sit there and blindly follow, because if we do that, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be in trouble, and I don't want that. Our ICE officers are in a horrible position because we have a rogue governor, a rogue attorney general, and go ahead and look. I posted the map the other day of Minnesota. Minnesota is red, with the exception of Minneapolis, St. Paul. And this is how an insurgency works. They get a strong pocket of power, and they go ahead and they maximize it. You're not going to have people trucking across the state to go ahead and try to combat that. And we don't want that. We don't want civilians getting involved with this, although ultimately it may come to that. Look, I was reading a post from Eric Schwalm on X, and if you're not following him, you need to. It's just at Schwalm 5132, and I'll spell that for you. At SCHWALM 5132, Special Forces Warrant Officer, and I want to continue with this because this really hit me hard, because I knew what I was seeing with my own eyes. I knew I had gone down this road before. I didn't wanna talk about it for 2 reasons. Number 1, I was never actually involved with the ODA. Nope, and I am making that very clear right now. I am not Special Forces, SEALs, Delta, anything like that. I'm just a air battle manager who was in the right place at the right time and got to do some really neat stuff. But and I never wanna go ahead and put out techniques, tactics, and procedures, but when I see somebody who's recognized as a subject matter expert, we're gonna use them. So let's continue with this. I spent years training partner forces to dismantle exactly this type of apparatus. Now pieces of it are standing up in American cities, enabled by elements of local government and civil society. That's the big problem right there, too. So many Americans are too busy worried about what's on Netflix next, the next big movie, going out to the restaurant. They're not worried about their local government. They're not even worried about their federal government, let alone their local government. Can they get gas? Can they get food? And do they have the internet? And as long as they've got that, nothing else really seems to matter. Everything's hunky dory fine. And that's a product of not teaching civics in our public schools, or even worse, teaching Marxism and socialism, which we have examples of, numerous ones. Enabled by local government and civil society. That should keep every thinking American awake at night. I know most of the people who listen to this show are thinking about this going, this is something that's bothering me. And people get upset with me because I talk to my neighbors about, hey, if something happens, I've got my tractor, I've got my chainsaw. If things really get south, this is where I'm going to be. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And he goes on to say, not because I want escalation. Nobody who has ever been in combat wants to see this escalated. If they do, they're a psychopathic killer, and they're a whole special breed in and of themselves. But anybody who's been in combat, who has had to make that decision, does not want this, especially in our own country. No, no, no. You don't want this. You do not want that smoke. But because history shows these things don't die or de-escalate on their own once the infrastructure exists, and the cadre believe they're winning the information war. And the truth is, just look at Mike's show. These protesters are winning the information war. MS Now / BS Always, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News. You even have sitting congressmen and senators buying into this. You know who isn't buying into it? Donald J. Trump. And we've got people out there trashing Trump because of whatever reason. They're sitting there trying to take him down in the polls. I've got a news story here from Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen Reports. Trump is staying right where he always is, somewhere between 45 and 47%. But we are losing the information war. Not here at the Andrew Gosser Show, though. We're going to keep it real. We're going to keep it 100. We either recognize what we're actually looking at, or we pretend it's all still just quote unquote activism until destructions harden and spread. And that's why I talk about passing laws like making sure Sharia law it doesn't come to Mississippi. That's why I praise Governor Tate Reeves and for taking a hardline stance, and that's why we don't have none of this nonsense here. But I'll tell you the real reason we don't have it here, because so many of us go to church on Sunday and we have respect for each other. Do you have to go to church and have respect for each other? No, but it sure does help. It's like that Second Amendment bubble, but it's the church bubble, and it's been around a lot longer than the Second Amendment. He closes it up with this. Your call, America, but from where I sit, this isn't January 2026 politics anymore. It's phase one of something we've spent decades trying to keep off of our own soil. Warrant, amen to that, and I completely agree. The whole government or the whole global war on terror was to keep this away from here. And we did a great job of it from the military side of it. But if we're thinking about it, the constitutionalists, the conservatives, the libertarians, they all took a laissez-faire look at the insurgency that is rising up here in the United States of America. And it's much like Nazi Germany. The Nazis were leftist. I know they like to call us of the Nazis, but it's really not. Do your own research, do your own homework. And we often, I can remember sitting in Mr. Hettinger's history class going, what were the Germans thinking? Why did they allow this to happen? What were we doing? Well, you are getting a firsthand look at it right now, except it's in 4K. You can go online and find any side of the perspective you want to get, whether you're a constitutionalist, whether you're conservative, whether you're libertarian, whether you're liberal, whether you're an anarchist, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, whether you're Jewish. It's all a big mess. And we're all focused on this. But when we get back, I'm going to just blow your minds, because when you hear what I've got to report, you're going to see why they have us all focus in on Minneapolis and not on Washington, D.C. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
WYAB.
Fox News commentary with Jesse Waters next.
New Year's resolutions sound great on January 1st, but January 10th, not so much. This year, there's one resolution worth keeping: getting your finances in order. For many people, that starts with balance, not just growth, but protection too. And that's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. For over a decade, they've made it easy for investors to add gold and silver to their portfolios and reduce market risk. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult with your tax or financial professional before making investment decisions.
Here's Jesse Waters.
In the spirit of be best, Walz and Trump had a perfect phone call.
Well, I said, just give us your criminals. And if you give us the criminals, it all goes away.
Tim's not denying it either. The two shook on it.
I would characterize, along with the president, I think it was productive.
Donald Trump's a shoo-in for the Nobel after brokering a peace deal with Minnesota. So here's the deal. ICE stays in Minnesota and Border Patrol goes back to the border if Minnesota helps ICE bag the bad hombres. In the last 2 years, Minnesota has released 800 criminal aliens back onto the streets before ICE could pick them up. ICE says, hey, can you guys hold them? And Minnesota says, nope, jailbreak. Now, if Minnesota...
I hear you on the SAVE Act, Dogfish. It's just one of those things where do we focus our attention? And when you hear what we're going to have coming up here in the next segment, you're going to be like, Save Act? Oh my gosh, we need more than just the Save Act. But we'll talk about it when we get out of break.
Simple. We are certified by 19 vehicle makers to assure you get a proper repair. We care about your investment and your safety. Call the shop who only wants one partner in the repair process, and that's you, the owner. In Clinton and in Richland, we work for you. We take pride in perfection.
Get ready, Jackson. On Friday, February 6th, Martin's Restaurant downtown cranks it up with Pretty Tied Up, the ultimate Guns N' Roses tribute band. Hear all the classics like Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child of Mine, Paradise City, and more. Played loud with full 80s rock swagger. Don't miss a night of pure Guns N' Roses energy live at Martin's Restaurant downtown in Jackson. Visit the Martin's Downtown Facebook page for ticket information.
Smart business owners will tell you the best time to start a new business is now. Whether you're thinking of starting a new business or expanding an existing one, the perfect location is the Cotton Exchange Plaza in Flora. Over 13,000 cars will pass by your business each and every day on Highway 49. Space is available now, so what are you waiting for? Call the Cotton Exchange Plaza at 601-879-3503 to find out how you can expand your business today. The Cotton Exchange Plaza in Flora, where we mean business.
As Christians, it's our calling to be faithful to Christ and obedient to the Great Commission. Our heart's desire and prayer to God is that through our efforts, many would receive and rest upon Christ alone as he is offered to them in the gospel. I'm David Strain, Senior Minister at First Presbyterian Church of Jackson, inviting you and your family to join us as we strive to fulfill that mission. We're located on North State Street in Jackson. Times of our services can be found at fpcjackson.org. You can also hear the good news about Jesus Christ each Sunday morning at 9:30 on 103.9 WYAB.
This is Gary Bryden with the Association of Independent Methodists, inviting you to join us for the Methodist Bible Hour USA each Sunday morning at 7 a.m. We'll explore the scriptures, share insightful thoughts, and enjoy special music. In today's world, there's a lot of confusion around us, but we'll point you to the eternal truth found only in Jesus Christ. That's the Methodist Bible Hour USA every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on 103.9 WYAB.
Oh, yeah, only in America can we go around the world and take out the world's terrorists and yet breed a bunch of them right here at home that we have to go take care of them at home. Now, one of the things that we love talking about this show is what are they trying to hide? What is really going on? And when I saw this, I'm like, that's it. Like, what was Venezuela hiding? What was the original Renee Good hiding? What was this pretty guy hiding? Well, go to good old SCOTUS blog and see what the U.S. Supreme Court is doing. Seriously, sit down, strap in, get ready. Court finds police properly entered man's home despite absent of a warrant. Ladies and gentlemen, the Fourth Amendment was already Swiss cheese, and now it's not even Swiss cheese. It's more like just a thin piece of paper. The Supreme Court on Wednesday upheld a conviction of a Montana man who was convicted of assaulting a police officer in a unanimous decision written by Justice Elena Kagan. The court ruled in a court case called Case vs. Montana that police officers in Anaconda, Montana did not violate the Fourth Amendment when they entered William Case's home without a warrant, rejecting Case's contention that police officers needed probable cause to go into the house. And ladies and gentlemen, I've reached out to several attorneys, and both liberal and conservative, and both of them kind of raised their eyes and looked at me like I was crazy, like there's something to this here. But I don't want to just sit here and read the headline and get you all fired up. I want you all to hear what's going on, because this is what our government is doing to us. Remember how I always talked about it's the perfect circle, and they just take a slice here, a slice there, a slice here, a slice there. Under the Supreme Court's earlier cases, Kagan wrote it was enough that police officers reasonably believed that Case, whose former girlfriend had called them to tell them that Case had threatened to commit suicide, needed emergency assistance. Great. So now swatting has gone to disgruntled exes. Your neighbor's ticked off because your fence isn't where it needs to be. Call the cops. I think Andrew was upset. Better go give him a welfare check. This is so bad. The case began in 2021 when Case told his former girlfriend, identified in court papers as JH, that he was going to kill himself. So he also would shoot any police officers who came into the house. JH called 911 and sent 3 police officers to the scene for a welfare check on a suicidal male. So never mind that Andrew's in perfectly good shape and totally fine, loving life, helping out with the ministry team, evangelizing. Nope, someone can just say he's suicidal. Cops rolling in. Although Case did not answer when the police officers knocked on the door or yelled into an open window, police officers saw empty beer cans and an empty handgun holster and what they believed to be a suicide note in the house. The police officers were also aware that Case had threatened to commit suicide before on another occasion. Police officers believed that Case was trying to goad them into shooting him. So the police officers, I respect police officers. They get called out to these domestics all the time. They get trained up, and they're worried that they have to go in and potentially intervene in a situation like this. So I'm not belittling them, but what I am saying is that to me, there's got to be probable cause. And some people, I can just see my friend Chris saying, that's probable cause. I'm not so sure. Roughly 40 minutes after the police arrived, the police officers entered the home. Case was hiding in a closet in an upstairs bedroom where he was holding a black object that officers believed was a gun. One officer shot Case in the abdomen, and the other discovered the handgun was in a laundry hamper near Case. So he didn't even have a gun. Now, again, let's compare this to what happened with Pretty. Case is sitting there hiding in his house, just being left alone, and Pretty decided to interject himself into the main character of the story. And this is what happens when police have to make hard decisions. Going into a house and thinking that, oh, you might have a gun, so you're going to get shot. Then there's the other side of the story saying, well, he should have just come out. No, we're Americans. We don't have to go to the door and answer. And we shouldn't have to worry about people snooping through our windows either, looking around, especially when there's an ex-wife or ex-girlfriend sitting there calling 911. The case asked the trial court to exclude the evidence that law enforcement officials obtained after they entered the house, arguing that police officers should have had a warrant. They should have gotten a warrant. They probably could have gotten a warrant, but they didn't. So now this is going to completely change the game of the Fourth Amendment. But the state courts rejected that argument, prompting Case to come before the Supreme Court. Case contended that if police officers entered a home without a warrant to provide emergency assistance, they must have probable cause to believe someone is in urgent need of help. On Wednesday, the Supreme Court disagreed. In an 11-page opinion, Associate Justice Elena Kagan acknowledged that the sanctity of the home is at the core of the Fourth Amendment, which protects people from unreasonable searches and seizures. As a general rule, she explained, when the intrusion is into the most private place, reasonableness usually means having a warrant. But there are exceptions to that rule, and we have yet another exception to the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. New exception. Are they going to use these new exceptions against the blue-haired nose ring crazies getting on TikTok and X threatening people? Are they going to invade my Bible study on Monday night? They had a reasonable expectation that there might be something going on there that one of my neighbors didn't like. And I'm not calling out any of my neighbors. We get along all good. We're good. I'm just using myself as an example here. I feel that's important. 2 decades ago, Birmingham City versus Stewart, the Supreme Court upheld an entry into a home without a warrant by police officers who were responding to a noise complaint. Now it's a welfare check. You see, again, 20 years ago, they took a little slice off that Fourth Amendment. 20 years later, they're taking another one off, and then they'll let it sit for a while. It'll be like nothing happened. Oh, it wasn't a big deal. See, we didn't use it. And then all of a sudden, when this insurgency really kicks off on the left, because it's not going to be the right, when this insurgency really kicks off, then they're going to start coming after the people on the right because we're not the ones necessarily fighting. We're more law abiding. We don't sit there and protest and go out there and form no-go zones. Not sitting there burning fires and sitting there having signal groups and doing all that nonsense. It goes on and on. I don't need to get into it really more other than to say that the one justice who didn't really chime in on this was our favorite Ketanji Brown Jackson. They just said, girl, get to the side, be quiet. We don't want to hear your babbling. You don't need this. But Justice Sotomayor actually wrote a concurring opinion. Justice Neil Gorsuch also wrote a concurring opinion, which he focused on the origins of the emergency aid exception. He located the exception in judge-made law, which he said has generally permitted a private citizen to enter another's house and property in order to avert serious physical harm. Under that law, he observed, law enforcement officers generally enjoy the same legal privileges as a private citizen. This is again written at SCOTUS blog by Amy Howe. And you know what? I'm going to put this on X right now. You all should read this. I'm not an attorney. I did send this to WYAB's resident attorney, but I know he's so busy and he didn't necessarily get a chance to respond to it. But I hope that when he comes on and does the show, he does talk about this. You know, our home is our castle. I mean, what if Case decided he didn't want anything to do? All they had was his crazy ex-girlfriend calling in, and he decided the castle doctrine was in effect. Now it gets even worse. There are times when the police have to go in and do something, but it's not too much to ask to get a warrant. Unless you're an immigration judge, then you don't want to do that. Or if you're having those private courts where they're going in and wiretapping Americans, you can kind of get around that too, can't you? And when I just look at what's happening in Minnesota, and then I see how we're being distracted by what's happening at our Supreme Court, I worry about that. I'm not being one of these right-wing extremists out there. I'm not saying batten down the hatches. I'm just saying, you know, our founding fathers, which is why we have our Founding Fathers Friday, gave us the Fourth Amendment for a reason. And, you know, all of a sudden we're sitting there worrying about this guy or the two Americans shot and killed for interjecting themselves into the story in Minnesota. But we don't worry about the real problems, about the real political unrest. I mean, you think about what's happening in Iran right now. They say 30,000 Iranians dead. I bet you it's over 40 because no one's really done anything. And I know President Trump said that he's gotten assurances that nothing's happening. But yet, here we are. And that's why I think we're having all the crazy unrest is because there are things moving through the Supreme Court that are not good. And this is just a typical rule, whether you're going into court or you're playing a soccer game. You don't want to give a judge, you don't want to give a referee the opportunity to make a decision. But they made a decision, and now we all got to live with it. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We're going to take our last commercial break of the first hour. We will be right back.
Grizz Nation, get to FedEx Forum in Memphis for a Saturday night showdown between your Memphis Grizzlies and the Minnesota Timberwolves on January 31st at 7 p.m. And arrive early with the first 5,000 fans through the door receiving a Classic Edition Super Grizz Squish toy. Grab your tickets today at grizzlies.com/tickets or at the FedEx Forum box office in Memphis.
Get ready, Louisiana! Johnny's Pizza House is turning up the heat with our Sweet the Swamp Pizza. Packed with crawfish, shrimp, a taste of crab, andouille sausage, bell peppers, onions, jalapenos, and a blend of Cajun spices, all smothered in delicious mozzarella cheese. It's the perfect bite of the bayou and the perfect meal for any Cajun crave. Try our Cajun Flint or dive into a Sweet the Swamp Pizza Bowl. A taste of Louisiana flavor is waiting on you. Let's share a slice today at Johnny's Pizza House.
Pure Air Consultants offers services on your heating and cooling system. It's time to get your heating system serviced. We offer replacement, service, maintenance agreements. It's important because if you have a gas heating system, it can produce carbon monoxide. So you want to make sure you have your system serviced and cleaned to protect your family. You want to make sure your system is safe to run. You can find us on our website at mypureairconsultants.com, mypureairconsultants.com.
If you want the best health care, where do you go? The Mayo Clinic. If you want the best care for your vehicle, where do you go? Mayo Auto Clinic in Raymond. Mayo Auto Clinic does foreign and domestic vehicles and diesel repair. Mayo Auto Clinic has ASE certified techs with over 25 years of experience. You can extend the life of your car or truck when you take it to Mayo Auto Clinic. For cost-effective repairs and maintenance, go to the best Mayo Auto Clinic. Open weekdays at 7 a.m. Highway 18 in Raymond.
Get ready, Jackson. On Friday, February 6th, Martin's Restaurant downtown cranks it up with Pretty Tied Up, the ultimate Guns N' Roses tribute band. Hear all the classics like Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child of Mine, Paradise City, and more. Played loud with full 80s rock swagger. Don't miss a night of pure Guns N' Roses energy live at Martin's Restaurant downtown in Jackson. Visit the Martin's Downtown Facebook page for ticket information.
When it's time to get serious about work-ready equipment, come see me, Noah Sullivan, at H&H Chief Sales in Carthage. From rugged Big Tex trailers to durable CM and Legend X truck beds, H&H has what your truck needs to work harder and last longer. For the field, H&H carries reliable ag equipment from Salford, New Leader, and Chandler. Visit H&H Chief Sales in Carthage today or anytime at hhchiefsales.com. H&H, quality equipment, knowledgeable service, and solutions that work as hard as you do.
Hi, this is Lee Atkins of Home Care Plus in Ridgeland. We are a proud carrier of Abena Premium Incontinence products. Abena has the most absorbency available, making changes and leaks less likely. After 7 years as a seller, I can tell you these products are amazing and worth every penny to quality of life for patient and caregiver. And we ship all incontinence products as well. So please come see us at Home Care Plus in Ridgeland for all the incontinence needs of you or your family member. That's Home Care Plus in Ridgeland.
Since 2012, Brentech Solutions has been keeping Central Mississippi businesses connected and protected. From secure data backup and cloud services with Synology to reliable network design and maintenance, servers, and business Wi-Fi, Brentech truly does it all. Brentech is your Ring Pro partner and smart home automation solutions provider. Brentech can handle Microsoft 365 support and even Starlink. Visit brentech.ms. That's brentech.ms. IT solutions that work.
Oh, yeah. It is the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. All sorts of good news today. Actually, I think the first couple segments were really good. I think the Fourth Amendment segment was really good. Some people are saying the cops always have the right to go in, and I think they have a right to go in when they get a warrant. And if they're doing a health and wellness check, they don't have probable cause to go in, then no, don't. It's just that simple. And then someone asked me if I heard of some YouTube channel. I have not checked this YouTube channel, but it's a reliable texter. Something called the Armed Attorneys. I don't know who the heck that is, but apparently they did a whole segment on this too. So there's some more legal opinions for you to go get, whether you agree with me or not. I'm telling you out there, that's what the Supreme Court did. And I just basically read verbatim what SCOTUS blog said. And I posted that too. So some of y'all are really upset about that. Obviously, you want to have the police go ahead and bust in the name of health and wellness. for your own personal safety. My goodness, how we have fallen. Well, I told you yesterday that I couldn't prove it, but I thought the Elon Omar thing was all staged. This broke right after I got off the air yesterday, but apparently it was apple cider vinegar in that syringe, which now makes everything clear and understandable. Now we know why Elon Omar had such a sour face yesterday when she got sprayed with the apple cider vinegar. I don't know what's more sour, her mug or the apple cider vinegar, but that's what it was. Complete psyop. I'm telling you, and this isn't even like conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy. She was shot or sprayed in the face. She was not shot in the face. She was sprayed in the face with apple cider vinegar. The security dude made sure that he got everything out. We've gone back and looked at his social media history. It's completely off the chain. I mean, what more do we need to realize that there is something really big going on inside the United States? I don't think the executive branch is compromised, but I can say the judicial one clearly is jeopardized. Some would say that the legislative branch is compromised. I'd say that too. And it's not because I have differing opinions on that. We all have different opinions. We all understand that there's different ways to look at a situation. But when we continue to fund our enemies, when we continue to go out there and allow American taxpayer dollars to be used against American citizens, we got to kind of wonder about that. It's not hyperbole. You're not crazy. It's just the point in America where we're at right now, where people are going to have to get a lot more engaged civilly in their civics. We've got to do it. If we don't, we're going to lose our republic. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. When we get back in the next hour, we got to talk about what's going on in Mississippi. Good old Shad White dropping dimes. We'll be right back.
This is Central Mississippi's Stimulating Talk.
1039 WYAB, Pocahontas, Jackson.
I really appreciate everybody tuning in today. It's a great show. Lots of listeners. It makes me happy. I appreciate all of you.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Cammie McCormick. There is a potential deal to prevent a partial government shutdown while addressing Democrats' concerns about DHS funding. It's a deal that would separate the two. The White House appears to be behind it. Weijia Jiang reports.
They don't want a government shutdown. This is not like the last one just about 3 months ago that ended up being the longest government shutdown in history. There is no appetite for that here at the White House or from Democrats or from Republicans, and they are not dug in the same way that they were back then. So we do know that progress is being made.
In Minneapolis, President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, indicated today that the immigration crackdown could ease with more access to jails. CBS's Ian Lee has more.
He first started off saying that mistakes have been made. He didn't specify what the mistakes were, but he said that he's in town to make improvements, have efficiency, and really go by the book. He's been meeting with all sorts of officials too. You have state, local, law enforcement to try to get everyone on the same page. He says there were disagreements, but said that they all agreed that public safety was paramount.
Minnesota Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar announced today she's running for governor, saying she's running for those who want ICE out of the state.
We cannot sugarcoat how hard this is. But in these moments of enormous difficulty, we find strength in our Minnesota values of hard work, freedom, and simple decency and goodwill.
A former Illinois sheriff's deputy has been sentenced to 20 years in prison for fatally shooting Sonia Massey, a black woman who dialed 911 asking for help. Sean Grayson was convicted of second-degree murder in October. He shot Massey in the face and said he feared she was going to scald him with a pan of hot water. The South is still struggling to dig out from all the ice left behind by the winter storm. It's caused power and water outages, as Katie Weiss reports from Oxford, Mississippi.
Because of all the freezing temperatures, that's created either pipe leaks or also so many people trying to run their taps at once to prevent them from freezing. That's caused a strain on the city's water demand. They had to turn off water for several people so they could make sure that the local hospital had enough water supply.
Early to bed, early to rise may hold true, as Michael George reports.
A study in the UK found that middle-aged and older adults who are more active in the evenings tended to have worse cardiovascular health than people who are more active in the daytime. Night owls' unhealthy behaviors like poor diet, insufficient sleep, and smoking may be the reason for the disparity.
On Wall Street, stocks are lower. This is CBS News.
Take control of your financial life. Follow and listen to Money Watch with Jill Schlesinger on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-885-8877. 800-885-8877. Again, that's 800-885-8877.
Local news is brought to you by Fusion Coffee House in the Township in Ridgeland, reminding you to attend the free Township Jazz Festival on Saturday, April 11th.
Your neighbors who are still having major problems. This afternoon, 54 and partly sunny. Tonight, 35 and mostly cloudy. 45 and mostly cloudy Friday. Friday night, it's down to 18 and 14 Saturday night. You've got news on 103.9 WYAB. I'm Chris Davis. The situation on the interstates in North Mississippi.
Much of the 55 corridor, as you know, experienced some of the heaviest layers of ice.
MDOT Executive Director Brad White at a Wednesday press conference.
With the help of the National Guard and the Mississippi Department of Public Safety, we were able to block off the affected areas of I-55, primarily in the Panola and Tate County areas.
The National Guard has been helping get some of the vehicles off of the interstates, but the ones that are still there are the big ones, 18-wheelers. In the Delta,
we will be delivering water today, and if you want to help during this storm, please drop off water.
That's the mayor of Greenville, Eric Simmons, making water deliveries to the Washington County towns of Hollandale and Arcola that still have no water. 10 people have died as a direct result of the storm, says Governor Reeves. 14 people have been hurt, but those are just the ones being reported so far. 3 people have died in fires, 2 because of space heaters, and 1 person who was using a gas stove to heat their house. Those latest deaths were in Adams, Lincoln, and Jefferson counties. Because of the situation in Oxford, Ole Miss expects to be closed all the way through February 8th. You're used to dialing 662 for a lot of numbers in the north and central part of Mississippi, but beginning January 30th, the new area code of 471 has been authorized for that area. More news in 1 hour on 103.9 WYAB. I'm Chris Davis.
Fire them up. Here we go. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. And we are streaming at WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch that is WYAB, listen to us on one of the streams. We'd appreciate it. If you haven't, please go ahead and give me a follow on X, Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. If you're already following me, that's awesome. Go ahead and invite some of your friends to follow me too, whether it be on Rumble, X, YouTube. Appreciate it all. Look, if you want to be a part of the program today, the number is easy, 601-879-0002. The text line is open, 601-879-5060. And the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show on the 29th of January, 2026 is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. And, I had to give kind of a disclaimer on why I picked the couple proverbs that I picked. But it seemed like a lot of y'all liked them, and they're not changing. In those days, there were no kings in Israel. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes. Yes, we can't be doing that. We got to lean on him. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. Because as soon as you start doing that, it all goes to hell. I'm telling you this, next week is going to be lit. We're going to have Senator Don Hartness in the studio for a full hour talking about his first time being in the Senate. It's going to be great. We're going to talk about school choice, closed primaries, and couple other topics. So be thinking about questions you want to ask. Get those texted into me, 601-879-5060. And before we get into Brother Shad, I did want to give a shout out to Andy Gibson for collecting donations over there at the Ag Center. If you've got stuff you want to donate, go ahead and get up there. We just heard the mayor of Greenwood saying that they need water. Definitely be good to go. Probably could use some non-perishable food too. If you can't make a donation, definitely reach out and try to do that. And Andy Gibson is a great leader for our state. Definitely like him. The other thing I want to say before I get into Brother Shad is there have been a lot of questions about the roads, especially I-55. And as someone who's got a lot of experience doing this, I can tell you that ice storms are the absolute worst. They are the absolute worst to try and treat for, because if you put it down too soon, all the chemical and product gets washed away. You put it down too late, it doesn't do any good, and we're right where we're at. I have to say I am quite impressed with our response to the roads and the ice in Mississippi. The fact that we could deploy 150 snowplows with salt spreaders, that's pretty good. And we don't get the annual 17 to 20 events per year like we did up in Illinois. We get one every couple years. And the fact that we were able to open up as much of the state as quickly as we did is a credit to everybody who's working on the transportation and MEMA. And yeah, we can always do stuff better. And I know it's no solace to people who are struggling right now, but the response was actually pretty good from where I sit. And those guys don't get enough credit, along with our linemen who are out there trying to restore power. All right. So you probably heard this story coming from the Magnolia Tribune. I want to read it here. Make sure I got it pulled up. Not the baby accounts. But where'd it go? There it is. I apologize for that. Mississippi put on notice of possible penalty over misspent welfare funds. And this is coming from the Magnolia Tribune. Frank Corder doing work. Man, I talk on the radio for 2 hours a day, and that's pretty easy. But to write all the articles that these guys do, woo! Mississippi could face significant penalties from the federal government related to the misspending upwards of $90 million in U.S. welfare funds. the Department of Health and Human Services conveyed to the Department of Human Services Executive Director Bob Anderson in a letter this week. Well, there we go. $90 million not accurately accounted for. And my point to this is look, you know, if we did something wrong in Mississippi, we need to correct it. And I do have here in my show prep the letter that Shad White delivered to the state. And there were, I believe, 7, maybe 8 organizations: Jackson Medical Mall, Juanita Sims Doty Foundation, Mississippi Alliance of Boys and Girls Clubs, Jackson Metro YMCA, South Central Community Action Agency, Save the Children Foundation, and Scientific Research One. You know, it would be awesome if there were some independent journalists that could go out there and start looking at this, because that's how this all cracked open. Never forget Nick Shirley, 23-year-old YouTuber, Jehovah's Witness, virgin, doesn't do alcohol, doesn't do drugs, just out there trying to save his country. And people get mad at me. How come he tells Jehovah's Witness? That's his religion. And I know it bothers people, but the reason he's so fearless is because he went on a 2-year evangelism trip. You get toughened up pretty quick getting told no. Do I agree with it? No, but I think he's a great American and he deserves all the credit. So, and I mean, these are not small numbers here. Let me bump up the resolution on this. Jackson Medical Mall was funded $434,524. They spent $435,878 with a 90% spend rate, and they don't have adequate documentation. Juanita Sims Dowdy Foundation was granted $838,331. They spent $764,904 for a spend rate of 91.2%. Mississippi Alliance of Boys and Girls Clubs, Mississippi, $5,812,357. They spent $5,766,275 for a 99.2% spend rate. That's the 1.21 gigawatt spender right there. There's another big one, though. Jackson Metro YMCA, $775,541. They spent $549,640 for a 70% spend rate. South Central Community Action Agency, $470,000 spent for a 97% spend rate. And I'll put this out there. I'll link this out there. But Shad put it all out there. And we are foolish if we don't think something similar to Minnesota is happening here in Mississippi. I know we have great people. We've got people like Shad White who are doing the due diligence to make it happen, to point this stuff out. It's up to our agency department heads to rectify the situation. Deborah List, Acting Deputy Director of the Human Health Office and Family Assistance in the Administration for Children and Families, reminded Anderson that the federal agency rescinded its December 2024 penalty notice in April of 2025 solely to allow additional time for MDHS to review the expenditure records. Well, Brother Shad said there was nothing out there. So something here is clearly going on. And look, I've been in this situation where everybody's scrambling to cover their own butts. And I want to give Mississippi the benefit of the doubt, but we got to hold everybody accountable. If we're going to go in there guns blazing in Minnesota, we got to go in guns blazing here in Mississippi too. Yep. No preferential treatment. We got to call it equal. And that's why, quite frankly, so many of you listen to this show. Because, you know, I call it right down the middle. When the Democrats are screwing something up, I say it. When the Republicans are screwing something up, I say it. Equal opportunity, hater and lover. And Shad White put out this post this morning. I'm going to go ahead and retweet it on my timeline now. And I'm just going to read it to you because it's pretty succinct. The Trump administration weighs in on the Mississippi welfare scandal. President Trump is clearly done tolerating the fraud on taxpayers, whether it's Mississippi or Minnesota. Good point, Chad. Where did we just hear that? This week, President Trump's administration told Mississippi's Department of Human Services to provide documents by Friday showing any reason why they should not have to pay a big penalty for what happened in the welfare scandal. To recap how we got here, in 2019, my office started an office stated investigation started, I think he meant started, investigation of the welfare fraud. In early 2020, we turned everything we had over to the FBI and the prosecutors. So, Brother Shad, this is where you and I are in the same boat, because I handed over all the fraud that I had to the FBI in Rockford, Illinois, and they just completely dropped the ball. They didn't do a thing. I am bitter about it. When you find tickets to Disneyland, women's lingerie, trips to Hooters, trips to Mardi Gras for the family and grandkids, and the FBI doesn't do anything, there's a reason people get ticked off. Yeah. In mid-2020, in early 2020, we turned everything over to the FBI and prosecutors. Prosecutors decide who gets indicted and arrested and who doesn't. It's called prosecutorial discretion. They indicted 6 people initially. In mid-2020, we released an audit with pages and pages of detail about where all the welfare money went. $100+ million misspent. Since then, 7 people have pleaded guilty. I testified in Congress in 2023 saying this kind of fraud was probably happening everywhere because the system is broken. Dozens of people have been sued by the state in civil court to get their money back. The case is ongoing. Now, Trump administration rightfully looks like they will soon hold the state accountable for losing so much money. And that's how we fix it. And it just seems to me that, yep, you can go after the auditor, you can go after the lieutenant governor, you can go after the governor, but you have to go after the bureaucratic state, the deep state, the people who are administering these funds. How come they didn't have records? I don't think that's asking too much for your state auditor, from your state auditor, to be able to go in and do an audit, and he should be able to say, "Yep, this is where all the money went. This is how it's accounted for." And are there gonna be discrepancies? Absolutely. One kid didn't sign in on the 16th of January, 2021. Okay, get it. You know, there will be discrepancies, but when you're talking millions and millions of dollars in the state of Mississippi, that's like billions of dollars in the state of Minnesota. And when we have our auditor going ahead and doing great stuff, we need to make sure that gets put out there. Grateful and thankful for that. Consequently, I got to read this other one from Brother Shad because he's just been waxing poetic on it. I want to read this real quick. He put out another quote here because, you know, Shad was doing such a good job auditing the state that there were lawmakers who wanted to audit the auditor. Sometimes I'm asked, who audits the auditor's office? Well, here's your answer. Last year, the legislature appropriated tens of thousands of dollars to have my office exhaustively audited. While I didn't ask for it, I welcomed it as an opportunity to show how diligent and effective our team is. The legislator hired an out-of-state firm to come in and do the audit at the end of last year, and the result with the audit was so clean you could eat your dinner off of it. I've been reading agency audits for over 7 years now, and I've never seen an agency with this clean of a record. I say this to brag on the men and women of the Office of the Auditor of the State Auditor. They are tireless and top-notch professionals. And I can say that as someone who had brought in outside auditors and said, go full speed ahead, damn the torpedoes, ramming speed. If we're screwed up, tell us. And to have an audit come back where you are so clean, I mean, it's a sense of pride as an elected official, knowing that your team did a great job. Problem isn't Shad in the auditor's office. Problem lies elsewhere. And we're just lucky we've got a auditor with a backbone and a spine who isn't afraid to call it like he sees it. Anyways, that's just my opinion. We are off and running in the second hour of the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
You or your family member. That's Home Care Plus in Ridgeland.
You can show your pride and patriotism in honor of the 250th birthday of this great nation by proudly flying a flag. And a complete flag source on I-55 in Jackson is the place to find it. All sizes for all purposes. And they have the official 250-year celebration flag. Have a look at CompleteFlags.com. That's CompleteFlags.com.
Weekdays 10 to noon in Jacksontown. On WYAB, it's the hottest show around. Andrew Gosser Show. Hey, Jackson. Turn it up. Let your message go. They're tuned in, you know. Put your business in the spotlight on the Andrew Gosser Show.
Advertise with Andrew. Email info@wyab.com.
Why don't you mind your own business?
Mind my own business? What's that supposed to mean?
No, I was just thinking about all of the news of tax changes, insurance changes, regulations that are being passed down to business owners. I don't have the time to keep growing and to keep up with changing payroll regulations.
I know. It seems like all I do is handle employee-related problems.
You know, I hear People Lease can help.
How can they help?
People Lease can handle our payroll, taxes, employee benefits, and workers' compensation. They even offer an affordable and customizable 401k program and a 24/7 online human resources support center for all my HR needs.
Think of all the time we'll save letting People Lease handle our payroll and benefits administration. I'll be busy growing my business and letting People Lease take care of the rest.
Sounds like a good business plan with People Lease.
Let People Lease mind your business so you can mind your own business. Call now 601-987-3025. That's 601-987-3025. Or visit freepayrollquotes.com for your free quote.
Hey, Rankin County, swing by the locally owned and award-winning 042 Wine and Spirits on Highway 80 next to Sonny's Barbecue in Brandon today. We've got one of the largest selections around with over 200 bourbons and whiskeys to ignite your taste buds, more than 50 vodkas, 50-plus tequilas, 30-plus rums, and ready-to-drink cocktails, as well as premium scotches. And get this, we've got over 400 wines in stock for the perfect pairing anytime. Discover your new favorites today at 042 Wine and Spirits right next to Sonny's Barbecue, Highway 80, Cross Gates, Brandon.
Venable Glass is your local glass expert, offering residential, automotive, and commercial glass. Venable Glass can do it all. What sets Venable Glass apart from the rest? Unmatched reliability and customer service. Don't forget, tell your insurance company that you want to use Venable Glass. And remember, you do have a choice. Let Venable Glass work hard to earn your business. Call Venable's Ridgeland or Brandon locations today for a free estimate or visit venableglass.com.
Yeah, we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show. Are you enjoying what you're hearing? Do you appreciate the due diligence that's done? If not, or if you do, I sure would appreciate it if you perhaps advertised with us. It goes a long way to help the show grow And if you want to grow your business, we'd love to be partner with you. Just go ahead and email info@wyab.com and say that you want to advertise on the Andrew Gosser Show. Love to sit down, have lunch with you, and see what's going on. With that being said, what happens when an election is stolen? I mean, every election is precious, from David Archie in District 2 in Jackson to the state of Georgia. How do you actually get compensated? What is the actual remedy for it? Because I'm looking at it now, like every presidential action from 2020 to 2025 or 2021 to 2025 when Biden was in office should be completely null and void. Ketanji Brown Jackson should be removed from office or from the Supreme Court. She was illegally nominated by a fake president. And there's all sorts of images all over X about the FBI storming into Fulton County, Georgia, because that county literally changed the election of the 2020 presidential race. And we, as citizens of Mississippi and the United States, have been disenfranchised by a rogue county. And wait for it, Governor Kemp, Republican, is just as bad as Fulton County for refusing to go ahead. And was it politically unpopular for Governor Kemp to do? Yep. That's why we run for office. It's not to get all the attaboys and pats on the back and have our egos stroked. Get the positive press coverage from the political left, which is all corrupt anyway. You are the governor, you are the highway commissioner, you are the county board supervisor, because you are there to make the hard votes and do the hard things, all the things. You don't sit there and get your own truck and ride around when things are good and look great, and then when things are going south, you bunker up in your quote unquote war room. You know, the people of the United States of America depend on not just their own governors, but all the governors. And the thing about it is even my friends on the left know that yep, we got rope-a-doped in Georgia. We've got video of it. I think it was George Orwell in 1984 that said they'll be too busy looking at their TV screens to care what's going on right in front of their very eyes. A whole nother king wears no clothes, has no clothes situation. And those that do speak out, the commoners, the poors, who whine and complain, were just summarily dismissed by the political class. Nope, nothing to see here. Just 325,000 votes erroneously counted. You know, on February 11th at the courthouse in Jackson, David Archie is going to have his day in court. I'll probably swing by and check it out after I get off the show. I don't care if he's a Democrat or a Republican. I want fair and free elections. I honestly want to go back to in-person voting and go full Iraq. Everybody has to stick their finger in the purple ink, and it's going to stay there for 3 or 4 days. Everybody's going to have a pink finger who voted. Why didn't you vote? Oh, I didn't want to get my finger all stained up. Well, guess your liberty and freedoms wasn't enough for you. This mail-in voting that was perpetrated upon the American people in primarily blue states needs to go. And just because they don't think they just only stole the presidential nomination or presidential office. States like Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin all stole Senate seats from the Republicans. Could you imagine Kari Lake being in the Senate instead of Captain Mark? My goodness, Mark Kelly. Could you imagine Kari Lake being in there instead of Mark Kelly? We had a chance. We would be at 56, potentially 57 with Fetterman sitting there. And I heard people say, they're going to primary Fetterman. The Democrats are. They are so upset with him. He's a bigger target than some of the Republicans. By the way, the SAVE Act, you are having the political establishment do everything in its power to stop it. I'm not sure where Senator Wicker are and Senator Hyde-Smith are. That's all we can really control. But maybe go ahead and give them a call and just say, hey, we would really like a floor vote on the SAVE Act. Again, Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, she's up for election. She's very attentive. It was funny. I was at a meeting dealing with the Sharia law stuff that we hope to have happen this year. And we're sitting there having our meeting, and who plops down next to us? Senator Smith, Cindy Hyde-Smith. I waved. She recognized me. I didn't go up and introduce myself or anything like that. Just waved. She is trying to get your vote, and she does have an opponent, and I think that's great. Competitive primaries are important. That's why we've got State Senator Don Hartness trying to close the primary system. Democrats vote for the Democrats. Republicans vote for the Republicans. If their representative is so bad, people will vote in the primary that they think that is the most important. I mean, honestly, that's how I ended up getting elected. The Republican primary, the guy was so just out of touch and corrupt, in my opinion, that there were Democrats who lost other seats just because so many people cross over to vote in our election because it was just so bad. And this election integrity thing, we've got to get it straightened out. And, I don't mind the in-person absentee balloting. I think we talked about it the other day. I know that I will be absentee voting in the primary election because I will be an election judge. March 10th, I'm going to have a guest host because I'll be sitting there at Terry 2. Man, we'll see who we can get to guest host that day. We'll have to figure that out. But I believe in it so much, that being an election judge, that we have to go ahead and take time to do it. And it's a long day, especially for someone like me. Starts at about 5:30, gets done at about 9 o'clock at night. But it'll be worth it. If you've got the capability and the means to be an election judge for the upcoming primary, despite what county you're in, you should do it. Makes yourself a more involved and more informed citizen of how the elections actually work. I know Brother Spencer Ritchie, chairman of the Hinds County GOP, sure could use some help. And people are like, oh, I don't want to help the local GOP. They don't do anything for us. You'd be surprised. You can sit there. It's always easier to sit on the outside and just lob hand grenades and snowballs, but we are doing a lot. And a lot of us will be there for a little bit at a time. Some of us stay for longer. But they're always looking for people to help. And if that's something that interests you, let me know. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Let me know. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
103.9 WYAB.
If you're a parent or grandparent, you should know that even though Mississippi is ranked as the unhealthiest state in the country, we have the highest vaccination rate for our children and grandchildren. Many of us blindly trust the medical establishment, and now it's time to question vaccine safety. Mississippi Parents for Vaccine Rights is a grassroots organization working to educate the public and lawmakers about this important topic. Be informed. Go to mpvr.org. Like us on Facebook to stay up to date on the latest information. That's Mississippi Parents for Vaccine Rights, mpvr.org.
Getting a new prescription filled in your eyeglasses may not get rid of your headaches. It may not be the prescription at all. If your eyeglasses are not custom fit and properly adjusted to you, that could be the source of your headaches. At Eye Gear Optical, we verify the prescription in your lenses and the custom fitting of your frames to ensure you have the most comfortable and visually accurate eyeglasses every time. We fit eyeglasses to you, your lifestyle, and your budget. Eye Gear Optical, 2630 Highway 80 East in Pearl, and eyegearoptical.com.
Our flag was still there. The official 250th celebration flag is available at a complete flag source on I-55 North in Jackson. It's just one way you can show your appreciation for the greatest country on earth. Flags for all occasions. International and state flags too. Flagpole construction available. You can check it out at CompleteFlags.com. A complete flag source, I-55 North in Jackson.
Hey, this is John with MES. That's Mississippi Energy Services. We sell, service, and install all makes and models of home and business generators. One thing that we do different than a lot of other companies is we do all the work ourselves. We don't use subcontractors. We go from the original estimate, the design, to the final product. That way we can control the quality of the job from the beginning to the end. We are online at msenergy.us.
Looking for adventure, amazing food, and a little relaxation all in one place? You'll find it at Cypress Point Resort in Brandon. Load up the family and experience a real drive-through safari, petting zoo, and thrilling guided Jeep tours. Then slow it down with mouth-watering steaks at the steakhouse, or grab drinks and live music at the tavern. Planning a wedding or reunion? Cypress Point Resort has beautiful venues and cozy lodging. Ready for your big day or just a weekend escape? It's everything you love about the outdoors with a touch of luxury. Cypress Point Resort. Wild fun right around the corner.
Rotor's Plumbing of Pearl, your familiar plumber with these similar names. Locally owned and operated by Chris Rotor. Rotor's Plumbing is no franchise, simply lower prices and better service without the dreaded overpriced upsell. Rotor's is one of the few places you'll find that actually specialize in tankless water heater repair, as well as being your full-service plumber. And most importantly, service after the sale, meaning the techs actually answer your call, with misses averaging callbacks of 10 minutes or less. Rotor's Plumbing at ROEDERSplumbing.com.
Yeah, you are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show. Yep, we got her. We got her.
Rape, homicide, manslaughter. That's who they're trying to protect in Minnesota. I do not understand these people. We sent Governor Walz a very strong letter today.
Got him.
We had been working on this letter. We got it out saying that he better support President Trump. He better support the men and women in law enforcement, because if he doesn't, we are. And that's what we're doing right now.
Were there any consequences?
Consequences?
Well, we'll see. This is fluid.
Consequences? We just sent a letter that they better.
Let's see what he does.
Let's see.
Based on this, based on what's happening.
Give me a break. You want to talk about disappointment? My goodness. And I'm not trying to be hateful, but the longer that, they go after these low-level criminals and get us all focused on a low-hanging fruit, and they're not going after these high-ranking people, the people who are funding Minneapolis and Minnesota, how come we're not going and charging them? How come we're not dropping bombs on them, per se? Legal bombs, not advocating for violence. I want to make that very evidently clear. But in some good news, this is coming from alphanews.org. Several arrested for anti-ICE riot at Maple Grove Hotel. And they got mugshots. Yep. It's pretty good. And if you go ahead and look at these mugshots, you'd be like, yep. Samantha Faye Mukchowski from Minnesota, arrested for riot and released pending complaint. Justin Neil Shelton, 37, St. Paul, obstructing the legal process. Eric Raphael Bonder, St. Paul, riot. Jalen Marie Rodriguez, Minneapolis, riot, released. Kashmir Lede Hamilton Gruneau, 19, Minneapolis, riot, released. It gets better, I promise. I just want to make sure that these guys get their 15 minutes of fame. Bailey Ray Schlosser, 26, Minneapolis, riot, released. This is one I'm really interested in. Sarah Nicole Workman, 28, Arcadia, California. What is a California doing in that cold weather? I didn't think California people like cold weather. I wonder if she's part of the people who are sitting there getting funding to go out and do all this rioting. Yep, she's released pending complaint. Freya James Ebson, Minneapolis, riot, released pending complaint. Rania Michelle Ann Alston, 21, Minneapolis, riot, released pending complaint. John Lyndon Gribble, 40, riot. So you can see here, there's a lot of young, there's some older people mixed in. But then there's some other ones here. No city listed. One's from Louisville, Ohio. And, you know, these are good-looking young kids. Good-looking young men, good-looking young women, completely trashing their lives, live-action role-playing as freedom fighters when they're actually participating in an insurrection. And I don't say that because that's just what I think. When I've got Green Berets saying, "Yep, this is insurrection," this is an insurgency, not an insurrection. Forgive me, I meant insurgency. You know, when you've got an insurgency going on, that's going to stick with you for a while. And this doesn't even include the TikTok nurses that are being round up. And people are all excited because one side's winning or the other side's winning. But I can't help but think, I go back to the church that was stormed. There was no violence there on behalf of the church. Now, the people who stormed the church, they all need to be rounded up and charged. And I know that they got 3 of them. Don Lemon is out. But why can't they charge Don Lemon in Texas? Maybe an attorney could tell me this. They use Signal app to coordinate this. The radio signal clearly would have, or the electronic signal clearly would have bounced through across state lines, allowing them to charge them wherever the signal went. Maybe we need to set up a couple different signal infiltrators, one in Florida, one in Texas, one in Mississippi, one in Louisiana. Well, maybe not Mississippi, but maybe Louisiana. No, Mississippi, we're all right. Alabama, South Carolina, Missouri. We've got to take it to these people legally. And these shouldn't be misdemeanors, but felonies in losing their voting rights. Endangering law officers. I didn't even really get to talk about Pretty that much. The video dropped yesterday. Many of you saw it. I know Clay talked about it. I know Kim talked about it. So I always try to bring things to the table that are a little bit different than the other shows. But I do find it fascinating how the Pretty video took so long to discover and how violent he really was. And you can see, man, that guy got taken out, man. He got pancaked. You can see why his rib was broken. In other news, and I'm not going to play the video, but man rams car repeatedly into the largest Jewish synagogue in Brooklyn. Why are all these synagogues being attacked? Why are all these churches starting to be stormed? What is causing it? Is it the political right that's doing it? Or is it the political left? I mean, you got to ask yourself these questions. And I know I'm talking to a lot of independents and left people who lean more to the left. We're just saying how it is. I don't agree with any attacking any religious institution like that. You don't need to do that. If you really want to shut down a synagogue or a church or a mosque for that matter, go through the process to do it. Sitting there burning down a mosque in not a mosque, burning down a synagogue in Mississippi is ridiculous. ramming a synagogue in Brooklyn, New York is ridiculous. The guy, the picture of the guy, he looks like a real winner. Last story, I think, before we get to the break is how much hand-wringing is out there over Donald J. Trump? How many people are out there actively worried that Donald Trump isn't doing something right? And they sit there and they use it as an excuse to either, sorry about that, either trash the president or otherwise use it to withdraw support for what he's doing. How many people are getting brainwashed by Operation Mockingbird, the mass formation psychosis? If you want to watch CNN, MS Now, BS Always, mainstream media, including Fox News, including some conservative news sites, it's all doom and gloom. I haven't been able to stomach Harry Enton lately. My feed for him, I don't get both sides because I like playing the positive ones for Trump, but I also like playing the negative ones for Trump. But I don't like just going one side all the time. You've got to have balance. You've got to have balance not only in your political life, but in your home life, your work life, your spiritual life. What's one thing is sure is Trump's approval index history for his second term is incredibly consistent. He's actually climbing. His approval index is -14. That is the strongly approve minus the strongly disapprove is 14 points. The total approve is 47%. Total disapprove, 52%. This is just my opinion, but I am almost certain that number one, we get these rioters and insurrectioners/insurgents in Minneapolis under control. Start really hammering down on that. If the DOJ comes out by the grace of God and actually does something with the Epstein files, that will change everything. Ilhan Omar gets arrested, prosecuted, deported. That's going to change a lot of things. But I do feel in MAGA, and you can listen to Mike Madison and take his take on it from a non-MAGA person. I guess that's how it is. But considering I consider myself full MAGA, supported President Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024. I've got the benefites there to prove it. I don't see the support of the base falling away for President Trump. President Trump just needs to be allowed to do what he needs to do. And whether he's being blocked in the House or the Senate or in some of the states, it's up to us locally to control what we can control and go out there and say, hey, we like what he's doing. Or if you don't like it, do that too. But even though we are in the majority, we will be looked like and portrayed as being in the minority. I mean, you look and see what's happening up in Minnesota where they're actively doing patrols looking for conservatives, which makes it even more incredible that we had a chairwoman on here who was brave enough to come on. I'm pretty sure that she didn't have this on her 2026 bingo card. It's easy to be a Republican in a red state. I'll tell you what, being a Republican in a blue state like I was, like she is, woo, it's tough. It's tough. We're going to take our last commercial break here on the Andrew Gosser Show. You are listening to 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
.1039 WYAB.
Pack up the kiddos, hop in the car. It's a sweet little getaway, it's not too far. For candy, chocolate, sweets, and treats. Smiles from the door to the back row seats. Hey! Mississippi Candy Company. Bring your kids and the memories. Grandma, Grandpa, come and see. tasty. It's an excellent trip for the whole family. Down D's Drive-In Gluckstadt, Mississippi Candy Company. That's where it's at.
Hey kids, ask your parents and grandparents to go right now.
Dr. Mike Stonington here from Stonington Farm Grass-Fed Beef. Here in South Mississippi on Stonington Farm, our steers are grass-fed and grass-finished. No grain, no hormones, no antibiotics, no mRNA vaccines. Our grass-fed and grass-finished beef is straight from our farm to your table. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and at StoningtonFarm.com. That's StoningtonFarm.com with 2 N's. And we deliver every 4 weeks to the Jackson area. We are the grass-fed difference.
Hey guys, this is Casey Ellis with Ellis Autoplex, located on Highway 471 in Brandon. Ellis Autoplex, known as Little Truck City, is your old school mom and pop style dealership that's family owned and operated. We specialize in 4-wheel drive trucks, but don't worry, we have cars and SUVs too. Looking to sell your vehicle? Bring it by Ellis Autoplex, where we pay fair market value and we cut you a check on the spot. Need your vehicle service or repair? We can handle that too. Shop us online or set your appointment at ellisautoplex.com. That's ellisautoplex.com.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Are you craving a home-cooked meal without the hassle? Come over to McBee's Bar and Grill in Ridgeland for their Blue Plate lunch specials. Served up every weekday, at McBee's it's a different entree every day. Chicken spaghetti on Mondays, beef tip Tuesday, pork chop Wednesday, spaghetti Thursday, and catfish Fridays. And McBee's Blue Plate lunch comes with 2 classic southern sides and cornbread or a roll. McBee's specials are served every weekday from 11 to 2. McBee's, buzzing the res since 1982.
Your roof is constantly exposed to the elements, battling dirt, algae, and stains. But with Watkins Construction and Roofing Roof Wash Service, you can keep it looking like new. A proprietary rooficide treatment is EPA approved, safe, and guaranteed to prevent algae from coming back for at least 2 years. No harsh chemicals, no damage, no black streaks. Just a clean, beautiful roof that lasts. Call Watkins Construction and Roofing at 601-966-8233 or visit nomoreroofstains.com today.
Yazoo Valley Electric Power Association wants you to stay away from downed power lines. Downed power lines carry the risk of deadly electric shock, even if the broken wire is not sparking. If a wire is crossing a road or driveway, avoid the area and keep others away. If you see a downed power line, back away and call your utility company or 911. When you call, be prepared to provide the specific address or location of the downed power line so a repair crew can get there as quickly as possible. This safety message brought to you by Yazoo Valley Electric Power Association.
It can be hard to move past the guilt, times of weakness and regret, knowing you weren't there for your family when they needed you the most. But there is life after addiction. We're seeing broken families restored, one man at a time, through our vehicle, cash, and thrift store donations. It's given Mercy House Adult and Teen Challenge the ability to help these men succeed in having better lives. Donate a vehicle, running or not, and we'll come pick it up. Call today, 601-572-7296, or visit us at vehicledonationsms.com.
Have you thought about the cost of long-term care? In Mississippi, a home health aide can cost over $57,000 a year, and a private nursing home room can exceed $109,000 annually. Hi, my name is Cressley Pierce at Pierce Professional Agency. Long-term care insurance may help protect your savings and give you more options and peace of mind as you age. Learn how planning ahead could save you money and stress. Find me, Cressley Pierce, online today at MadisonPlans.com. That's MadisonPlans.com.
Oh, yeah, I will not let you down. This is the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. I truly do appreciate everybody who tuned in today, gave me text feedback. I appreciate it. You know, I did play my Pam Bondi clip, and we'll continue to play that. And this just got sent to me, and I should have put this in the last segment too, but sometimes the segment just fills up, and it's just the way it is. DOJ says it will finish releasing the Epstein files in the near term, but doesn't offer specific date. Let me ask you this, ladies and gentlemen. You get a letter, let's say you live in Hinds County, and you get a letter from Jody Owens demanding certain documents by a certain date. And you just decide, I'm going to give you this little bit right here, but the rest of the stuff that was demanded by the district attorney, you know, we're not going to tell them to go pound sand, but we're just we're just going to let that go. We're just not going to answer that. What do you would happen to you, Mr. and Mrs. Resident of Hinds County? Do you think that you would be being treated the way that these Epstein victims are being treated? Do you think that the Hinds County DA's office would be acting like the DOJ? I mean, the DOJ has got. I don't know what else needs to be done. You've got a law demanding the release of the Epstein files. It was a nonpartisan vote. It was signed by both Democrats and Republicans. It was signed by the president saying, get this out by, I believe it was the 19th of December. I think in good faith, there could be some release and saying, look, this is all we got right now, but we're going to have so many more releases a day. But it's nothing. And that gives people out there who are whacked out conspiracy theorists this idea that they're hiding stuff. And then the political class goes after the one guy who's actually out there pointing stuff out. I mean, he pretty much pointed out 20 individuals in that 53-second video from Thomas Massey the other day. 20 individuals were pointed out. Republican leadership, Mr. President, county, state chairman, this is why the Republican base is not resonating with you right now. It's because we see stuff like this, and we just simply, we just ask the question, if it was us that was doing whatever X is, if it was the political right that stormed a mosque, what would happen? If it was the political right that put pornography in the schools, what would happen? If it was the political right rioting in Jackson, what would happen? And we're seeing two completely different options here. We're seeing that what happens to the left does not happen to the right. What is good for thee is not for me. And they say that sometimes perception is the reality. In this case, the reality is the reality. You have been listening to the Andrew Gosser Show. Tune in tomorrow for Founding Fathers Friday. It's going to be a blister. It's going to be hot. It's going to be good. Take care, everybody. Be blessed.